Now I'm very excited to welcome back two of the top college football cappers in the land. You know them as Mr. Brad Powers from Brad Powers Sports and Mr. Chris Felica from Fox Sports and Bear Bets. You can follow them both on X at Brad Powers 7 and at Chris Fallica. Guys, college football just cannot come soon enough. I'm like seriously counting down the days. I don't know what to do with myself. Last year, we were discussing Notre Dame versus Miami for the opening weekend. Whew, that didn't have playoff implications, did it? And now they're making us wait till midseason for that big game. But, man, I'm stoked. I'm guessing both are going to make the playoffs this year, though, right, Chris?
I would assume so. I already played at FanDuel. I was able to do a little to make the playoff parlay. And I think the last time I checked, it was still plus money. Played Miami, Notre Dame, and Oregon to make the playoff, and it was like plus 114. And something's got to go really wrong for any one of those three teams to miss out on the playoff. And I think, Brad, there's a really good chance that the winner of that Miami Notre Dame game, November 7th, is going to finish undefeated number one in the country.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I mean, obviously, Notre Dame, Miami have two of the highest projected win totals. Obviously SEC Big Ten champs will get the benefit of the doubt. However, I think the SEC and Big Ten champs could have multiple losses this year. So an undefeated Miami or an undefeated Notre Dame, regardless of strength of schedule, is going to get the number one seed.
Yeah, and I did kind of the same thing, except I did swap Miami for Ohio State, and I still got plus, what was it, 120, something like that? I couldn't believe it. So Oregon, Ohio State, and Notre Dame was my parlay, and I'm just thinking I should have put more on it. We'll see, obviously, but I just don't. I mean, like you said,
you can always make another bet, Kiev. You can always bet more.
Yeah, we don't have a podcast like that. We should definitely press those bets. Yeah, but here's the thing, it's just hard for me to see, like you said, it has to be disaster. I mean, big disaster for any of those teams to not make it in my opinion. But here we are. We got a lot going on. We still got a good month before college football coming up. Chris, you traveling anywhere before the season gets started?
Yes. LA this weekend for our Fox football meetings. Bet Bash Vegas next week. And then the week after that, we're doing a little last-minute Alaska cruise. I've never been up there, so we're looking forward to that. Just a quick little 7-day cruise, and we'll be back well before week 0 for sure.
Like I say, odds subject to change right there. That is clever. Who's all going to Bet Bash?
The whole gang. Jeff, Will, Sammy P, we'll all be there. I think Spanky has us slotted in at 1:00 Pacific on Wednesday. So that'll be fun to do, and do a little Bear Bets show, and maybe take some questions from people afterwards. It'll be good. Bear
Bets at Bet Bash. That's a lot of bees.
Good luck getting that out.
That's a lot of bees. A little tongue twister. The Bear Bet Bash, we'll call it. No, that's fun, man. Yeah, get over there and get out, but have a great time and present. That's a great time for that crew, and maybe get in a few contests, or obviously tie a couple loose ends when you're there, right? I'm sure you'll make good use of your time. Brad, what about you? Any other stadiums that you're going to check out?
No, I've kept a low profile this year. went to a few spring games. Going to go to Lambeau for the Notre Dame Wisconsin game. I'm going to try to. I've never been to the UP. I'm going to try to do that next week. I've never seen the Mackinac Bridge. Never been to Traverse City. Just a couple-day trip there.
My brother lives in the UP, actually. So very woodsy place. If you see a guy that looks kind of like a giant werewolf, that could be him. That's how they look up.
Way to limit down your possibilities. You for helping them out.
That's true. They all have mullets up there, but you'll definitely have a good time. It's beautiful country this time of year, but we love the UP when we come back and visit northern Wisconsin, and you'll have some fun, and you'll probably hit more high school stadiums this year, Brad, than you do college. I love some of those posts you put up.
Yeah, obviously, moving back home, tend to gravitate a little bit towards the high school game, a little bit more than I certainly did in Vegas. Just I live a small town, where the whole town comes out type of thing. But we'll still very excited about college football, though. Don't get just because I haven't seen 30 stadiums summer doesn't mean that I'm not excited about college.
How many times can you make the trek over to Deutsche Perry Stadium and check out Eddie George's Falcons?
I mean, I was there in the spring, so yeah. Obviously, the thing I love about like MAC stadiums, and I hopefully I don't get all these little small school stadiums in trouble, but a lot of small school stadiums across the country, you just walk right on the field. I mean, it's kind of nice as long as you're not acting like an idiot. You can really take it in. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where football began, my friend, and it's beautiful that you're going. And I'll be looking forward to some of those posts. But here we are. We got a lot to talk about in college football here. We always like to talk about bets that we don't get, and we come up with some creative ones, especially since the college football playoffs expanded to 12. But is there any prop bets that you would like to see? Maybe a book to come out with for 2026, Chris?
Oh, I've had two. I mean, Brad kind of touched on it a little bit ago with thinking that the SEC champ is going to have multiple losses. I would love a prop on over under 1.5 SEC teams to finish with 10 wins in the regular season. Like what would a price be on an over under? Because I think there's a really good chance that Georgia will be the only SEC team to win 10 games. I mean, you can make a case that LSU could or Texas could, but if you look at the preseason win totals, those like 9 seems like it would be a very good year. So over under 1.5 SEC teams to win 10 games. That's one that I would love to see priced out. And then the other one leads to obviously the playoff. Will there be a 3-loss at-large team in the college football playoff this season? And I think if you look at those SEC schedules now, adding that 9th conference game, I think there's a really good chance we're going to get one this year.
Yeah, 3-loss at-large team for sure. We got them last year, right? I agree. Okay, minus 110, Chris. 1.5 to the under SEC teams with 10 wins. What do you think? If you had even money on both sides. How many SEC teams go over? I guess 10 is 10.5, right? You said.
I wouldn't, Brad. Wouldn't you think that over would be just a little bit juiced, a little bit more to try and get a little bit of play there?
Yeah, I would say probably 130, 140 over. Somebody will probably break through and win 10 games.
I think so too.
But I agree with you. Georgia's the only safe bet right now on paper to win 10.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. I think Georgia is the best bet to go over 10 wins out of any of them. And now that they're 9 conference games, it's going to be tough on them. And, Chris, I mean, I love how you are now Big Ten Chris. Used to be SEC Chris, but we got Big Ten Chris now. Let's go. I'm excited for that, man.
I'm college football there. I love all conferences and teams equally, with the exception of my alma mater, which of course I love a little bit more, like we all do.
Absolutely, we all do. And I would say like creative bet would be, I would want to see like the SEC versus Big Ten head-to-head amount of teams to make the playoffs. I'm just curious where they put the price at.
Those should be up. They posted those conference totals last year. I would think that they would be up again, 3.5, 4.5 type numbers like
right,
that.
But head to head, like would it be SEC minus 0.5 teams, right? Would it because we got 5 in the SEC last year,
yeah,
and we got 3 in the Big Ten last year, and I know that Indiana's hanging out there, and I personally think 4-4 will go, but if you just give me any plus money on the Big Ten side, I would. That's just.
I would be willing to bet the Big Ten side this year.
Yes, I would too. Absolutely, especially with looking at some of those schedules.
Who do you think that we just got done doing bear bets, and one of the questions I asked the guys was, who do you think that 4th Big Ten team would be, assuming that Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana are the top 3? Do you who would your 4th Big Ten team be?
We were just doing a power rating, it'd be probably USC, but I don't love the schedule. The team I don't love from a power ratings perspective, but you gotta love the schedule. Penn State they don't play any of those top 3 teams, and they get SC at home. It could be favored in 10 games.
I agree.
It'd be funny that Matt Campbell, who I don't like long term at Penn State, but I think short term could do some damage this year.
I agree with you, Brad. That we'll get into that too. I plan on talking about that a little bit. BMAC says MGM's got conference wins with the most 10-win teams.
I'm reading that, I love that. Like Big Ten play, like Oregon and Ohio and Indiana are absolutely winning 10 games. Ohio State very likely is winning 10 games.
Well, what about Utah, though? It says most. So you're competing against.
We just talking Power Four? Are we talking Mountain West? The G6. Like even that still mathematically,
the Big
gotta
Ten.
be the Big Ten. Like you're getting plus money. Well, hopefully that will still be in existence next Tuesday afternoon when I land in Vegas, because I'll have to, or maybe I can make a drive up to Massachusetts and fire that in.
Yeah, why not? That's a great idea. I'll be looking for that one too, BMAC. I'm going to write that down. BetMGM here, because I agree with you. I am a little worried about, I guess, BYU and Utah, but I think that their Big Ten still gets 3 or 4 minimum in there. So BetMGM has that. I'm going to ask you, what was your worst bet from last season? And I'll start. I'm going to tell you mine. Always these embarrassing. I bet Baylor to win the Big 12 at plus like 650 or something. That was dead when they played Auburn, right? That was embarrassing, but even more embarrassing, over 7.5 wins was kind of like a bigger bet for me last year. And holy cow, did I eat some crow. So Brad, that was my worst bet from last year. What about you?
I had Penn State number 1 on my power ratings. That's pretty bad.
A lot of people did, though.
Yeah. I'll give you one that I'm still stunned that I lost. I thought I had a surefire winner. I bet under 1.5 group of 5 teams to make the playoffs at minus 150. I thought it should have been like minus 800 or 900. Yes. So I tilted myself quite a bit on it and lost. I can't believe it.
How would that only be minus 150? Like that's,
I don't know. I just thought I thought it should have been minus 750 at the very least.
Who in the world would have thought 2 group of 5 teams could have potentially made it? That's Penn State. I had a big Penn State to make the college football playoff bet. It almost seems like we need to have like the Penn State category of bad bets from last year, and then whatever else. I bet LSU to make the playoff last year. That didn't turn out look great after they beat Clemson. Oh wow, they're for real, and then they completely went in the shitter. So that wound up being a really bad bet as well.
We all got to eat some crow on some of that, but Brad, that was just a horrible beat. I can't imagine how impossible the situation fell this year with the stupid rules in the ACC that effed it all up, man. It's just, and then obviously the SEC with the money getting it in. It was just. Yeah, I want to forget about that one. At least you did win some of your other bets to hedge that, though. So that worked out for you. Maybe got you a new truck as well. How about not including the group of 5? Who are the last 3 teams in the playoffs, Chris?
This year?
Yeah, last 3.
All right, let's take a look. I'll say
if you want, we can pass, and then
I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm just pulling up the ratings. I will say we're going to get Texas A&M. I just don't know what a bunch of these SEC teams to go with other than.
No, you're right to be confused, because I really think that this year is freaking all over. I mean, that's why I asked. It was a tough question. It's like you can make a case for so much for a lot of things this year.
Ole Miss, you can make a case for. Brad brought up USC, Penn State. I think Washington is kind of an undervalued team this year. I think they have a chance to win potentially 10 games, get up to a good start. If they can pull an upset against SC, they're a team that I'm looking to back early on. But that's a great question, because it could be a team like Miami. If Miami were to make the ACC championship game and lose, you go with someone like that.
Or it could be Louisville to like go undefeated and lose, right?
It could be Louisville. Louisville, I think, is the second best team in that league. And I was surprised to see SMU voted ahead of them by the media in the conference.
Well, because of the quarterback Jennings. But Brad, I mean, what do you think? I have 3 terrible ones. Like, you're going to hate mine.
I'm going to go Penn State. Mentioned it. I think, they could be that possible fourth Big Ten team. I do agree with Chris that Washington is dangerous. I could see Washington maybe 9-1 entering those final 2 weeks against Indiana and Oregon, one upset away from making it. I'm going to go BYU because there could be some variance, maybe to Texas Tech a little bit, and maybe BYU is the team to take advantage of that. I also think, they got an opportunity to beat Notre Dame. We'll see. At least it's at home for them. So a team that's won 23 games the last 2 years, I think maybe the committee gives them the benefit of the doubt for a change this year. I'll go Alabama. I know some SEC teams are going to break through. And I don't love Alabama as far as a power rating, but I like their schedule. They don't play Texas. They don't play Ole Miss. They get Georgia at home, Texas A&M at home. I'm not wild about some of the other SEC teams. I think A&M takes a step back at the line of scrimmage. I'm buying into Lane Kiffin in year one at least. So I'm going to go Alabama makes it in this year.
I'm looking at – you're talking about the power ratings here. I'm looking at Bill Connolly's SP+. He's got Alabama 20 and LSU 32.
Wow. From his SP. Wow.
Wait, why did this default? This defaulted to last year. Why am I?
Oh, did it default to last year? Okay.
Yeah. I clicked down rankings, SP Plus, and 2025 SP Plus ranked. I don't care about 2025.
I was gonna say, wow, he had an update then.
He's got his preseason somewhere. I just looked at it somewhere else.
Yeah, I did. I saw it too. I forgot where
he's got Bama 11. He's got LSU 10. Yeah, that's okay. More. That's more. And A&M he's got 9, 10, 11. A&M, LSU, Bama.
Okay. Now, I'm not gonna go by my power rating because I want to be a little bit more creative here. But Brad, you stole my thunder. I was gonna say Penn State, and like Penn State is freaking their schedule is ridiculous, and we're gonna be complaining about them all year. We're gonna be like they don't freaking deserve it. It's gonna be just disgusting on X watching all these complaints because it's gonna be coming from us, right?
That'll be like Indiana in 2024. When they lost, got blown out by Ohio State and they got in the playoff and lost. It'll be along those lines. But I have that USC game circled because I am under 8.5 on SC. So yeah, I don't think they beat Indiana. I don't think they beat Ohio State. I don't think they beat Oregon. And I think
they're not being. They don't win on the road on the East Coast.
And I looked at a look-ahead line, and I think the look-ahead line that I saw has got Penn State minus 1.5, minus 2. So that'll be interesting. And I know I'm going to be contrarian side there on SC under, so I'm willing to take my chances there.
I agree with you. 8-4.
When they move time zones, how bad they play. That's the thing with SC when they go out east. So I agree. I mean, that's the thing, and that's the only thing that kept me off. That made me choose Penn State, and I think it's going to be 4 out of the Big Ten minimum and 4 out of the SEC minimum. That they're going to keep those conferences happy, and that's why I picked Penn State. I got Ole Miss as the other one. I just think they have the best quarterback in the SEC, and they still got a good running back there. In Philip Montgomery, at least that OC is going to play Lane Kiffin's system. At least try, and so I do like that. And I put Oklahoma as the other one. I mean, I hated Oklahoma in last year, but you have a very favorable schedule because Ole Miss and A&M's at home. No Bama, no LSU. The Georgia one's a loss, but good return in production with a healthy Mateer. But there's no wrong answer until we get it all wrong, right? It's like you can make an argument for a lot of these. So I think it's a lot of fun to look at it. And if you parlay the last 3 in, mine comes to 50-1 because of Penn State there. But even Penn State, it's only 4.25-1. It's plus 425, right? So the books kind of know how easy Penn State's going to have it. But I'm going to take a little deeper dive into some of those fun exotic bets later. What surprising team misses the playoffs, Brad?
Oh, I think it's some of those SEC teams. I'm not, LSU, I'm not wild about like the rest of the media, A&M, Marcel Reed's got to take a major step forward.
Yep.
I think people, the entire narrative on A&M changes if they don't beat Notre Dame. Basically, a 4th and 11 play. They would have went 10-2, lost to the 2 best teams they played in the regular season. They had a very advantageous SEC schedule last year. They don't have one this year. I think they're 8-4-ish. but somebody's going to prove me wrong because, I mean, obviously zero-sum game. But LSU A&M, I think, would be disappointing, would be the two. This will get some – I think they're going to get in. I think they deserve more of the expectations than they did a year ago. But I still think Texas can be combustible. So, especially if they don't win the Buckeye game in week 2, and I don't think they will win that game still.
Under 9.5 is minus 142. And you got, in addition to the Ohio State game, in addition to the Oklahoma game, you've got 3 your final 4 games away, including at LSU, at A&M. Yeah, I am totally with you. I'd be very curious and very interested in a Texas to miss the playoff, and that certainly is not going to be a popular take. But as you guys know, the non-popular takes are often the ones that turn out to be the best one. But I'm with you on LSU. I think that LSU no playoff got steamed to like minus 210 or something. So
I'm a part of that.
Brad led the charge. Brad led the charge in that one. Are you kidding?
Did I do that?
Did I do that? No, I agree. Texas is one of them. I'm just going to be fun and say Indiana. I don't know. You know what? Signetti this, Signetti. Now, you know, and I was on him early, as you know, but now I'm like, you know what? Everybody's on him. And you know what? It's still changing a full roster. And sure, they got awesome talent, but I don't like Hoover. I don't. And if he fixes Hoover, make the man a god. You know, if Hoover's sitting there going undefeated in the Big Ten, make him a god. Make Signetti a god. But dude,
at least in Indiana, he's got a defense and he's got a running game. And I think Signetti joked about that when firing back at Sonny Dykes about Hoover's turnover problems at TCU. And I think Signetti was probably 30% serious and 70% serious and 30% joking, but he does have a point because that was not a very good TCU defense, and it was just kind of an offense that they threw all day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And, you know, you can't count interceptions if they're down in the fourth quarter, too. It's like, come on, the guy's trying to make a play, right? You got to look at some of those situations. So we have to remember that. Let's talk about real quick before we get into the conferences. Group of 5 team that makes it in. I'll go with South Florida. I just like Brian Hartline. I thought it was a good coach hire. I kind of like the chip that they should have on their shoulders. The kids that are still there anyway. I know a lot of turnover. But with Michael Van Buren, when he played a little bit at LSU, I thought he was just as good as Nussmeier. He didn't look that bad to me with nobody there. Everyone was injured last year for LSU. I think Michael Van Buren's a good fit in South Florida with Hartline there. So I'm gonna go with South Florida. Chris.
I'll go easy. I'll go Boise.
Okay.
I think
That's
they're priced that way though.
Yeah.
I mean, after Oregon, they'll be favored in their remaining 11 games. You know, Matson, I'm not wild about, but he's experienced. I think the running backs will be, fine. They've proven that last year that they were fine even without Genty. I just think though that they, Matson went down. They lost a couple games last year. If he don't go down, maybe you're not thinking. And they still won the Mountain West, and
Sure.
basically they're Mountain West, plus this year playing in the new Pac-12. So I'll go Boise, but we'll talk specific each conference. I don't mind your South Florida bet. Keep an eye. I think in the winner in the Mountain West this year is live. New Mexico or UNLV. Keep an eye on those two. They could have 10, 11 wins.
Yeah, I was gonna say New Mexico. Ed would be Boise was the first obvious choice, and it probably will be Boise. But I was gonna say New Mexico. Obviously, a lot of turnover, but Eck is a guy you can win a bunch of different ways and get guys to come together and play maybe above their collective talent level, and they're going to be a problem. Obviously, UNLV now without Calandria, we'll see how they fare this year as well. So who knows? But Boise will probably be, but I wouldn't be opposed to a little New Mexico money.
Well, there you go. I love New Mexico this year. I can't wait to get to the Mountain West. Let's get into some of these conferences then. And
speaking of ridiculous tie breaks, we had some nice numbers on them to win the Mountain West last year too, and probably should have been in that conference title game, but lost out on all the tie breaks.
The computer messed you. I think the computer messed you up. It messed people. Who programs these things? AAC, American Athletic Conference. So anything in this conference, obviously you don't have a bet. Okay to pass. This could be a season win total, future, or both. What do you like in the American Athletic Conference this year? I think that, with all the change and the coaches moving on and everything, it's a little bit more wide open, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah, I think that's my major takeaway. You want to bet a long shot in this conference. This is the conference to do it, I think. I could see one of any 8 teams winning it. In fact, I got like 8 teams within a touchdown of a power rating. I've taken some, Florida Atlantic as a flyer. I think they'll be great offensively. Over 5.5, Florida Atlantic probably be my favorite bet right now. I mean, obviously, I bet like teams like North Texas under, East Carolina under, Memphis under. There's some bets that I made. But Florida Atlantic over would probably be my favorite bet, but it's wide open. I mean, it'd be a great year for Navy, but losing Horvath and Heidenreich, I know they're the favorite, but I don't think they're a slam dunk favorite with all the skill they have to replace.
I don't like Navy that much either. I mean, to be honest with you, you don't ever want to bet on military academies the very first week. You remember with Tarleton State last year, I was actually on Tarleton State, but that was it's just their first week they fumble and they're just not quite built together, and Navy, too much hype on Navy for me. So I agree. Chris, anything in the American?
I might be willing to take a little bit of a flyer on Tulsa to maybe win the league. It was a team. I mean, Lamb has turned them around. Their defense was much better. They lost a couple of close games, but still, I'm looking at last year. They wound up. You beat Oklahoma State, who was terrible. You beat Oregon State. You won an Army. Like they got a lot better as the year went on, and he inherited a mess there. But Tulsa's a team that I'd be looking maybe to take a little bit of a.
Can you believe they lost to UAB in the finale when UAB had like 40 guys out? That was like one of my biggest bets of the year.
I always remember that.
I'm laughing with you, not at you.
You always remember the ones you lose.
Correct.
And, I mean, to be honest with you, Tulsa was probably quietly maybe the most improved group of 6 team last year. They just, nobody talks about them, but I love that pick. It's fun. That's a great pick. As you know, I'm kind of high on South Florida, so I bet them at plus 800, to win. And you know what? It's not a big bet. It's just, I like them over the 8.5 at plus 115. They avoid Navy. They get both Tulane and Memphis at home, and just a pretty easy non-conference, FIU, Delaware State, and Bowling Green at Bowling Green. And, I just think that non-conference can just push them up to 9 wins. The toughest game is at UTSA. So, South Florida is mine. I wouldn't hate anybody that said UTSA or, even Navy, but I went under 7.5 with Memphis too, because I don't think that, not that Silverfield is that great, but they just kind of got decimated. One returning starter, it felt like, on this team, and maybe there's some other guys that have played, but you got at UNLV, which isn't a gimme. You got at Boise, you got at Tulane, at South Florida, at Navy. That's all tough. Yeah. I mean, that's 5 right there, and I'm going under 7.5 with minus 105. So I kind of like that.
I agree.
Let's move on to Conference USA. This conference is always the one that screws with me the most. I don't. They're having more weekday games and everything now, but it's been this conference changed more than almost all of them. I'm not going to say obviously the Pac-12, but there's been just a ton of movement in Conference USA, and I don't have many bets in it. Chris, how about you?
Zero. It seems like Liberty is the consensus pick here, and
they were last year.
Yeah, and they wound up fall flat on their face. But yeah, I have 0 bets, anything involving Conference USA. Sorry.
Brad.
I'll give Jamie Chadwell a flyer. He wasn't healthy. He had some health issues, so maybe they, bounce back. They also lost like 3 straight weeks where they lost in overtime. So those games flipped the other way. They could have been in the conference championship game last year. I think they deserve to be, them in Western Kentucky, the favorites, but I kind of like Delaware. They return a bunch. They shocked me last year coming up. They had a winning season, won a bowl game. If you want to take a flyer on them to win the conference, I think it's all right. My biggest bet is Missouri State under. I bet under 4.5. It's probably moved a little bit, but I had a new coach, lost a bunch of their roster. Surprised last year getting a bowl game, but they've just been decimated. I think I only got them favored in 2 games.
Yeah, no, I am on Delaware to win it too, and I just went plus 700 small, Brad. So that was my pick. They ranked 36 in offensive success rate last year. I was like, really, Delaware? Obviously, they didn't have a hard schedule, so it moves those numbers up. But Nick Minicucci, I don't know if I said that right, but
Minicucci, yeah.
Minicucci, 3,683 passing yards, pretty solid. They have very good returning production. And you know, it's funny, you look at like the returning production for the whole conference, Brad, every team was decimated minus them. It's like they ranked 25th in return production. So I think it's worth a shot, you know, but you're right. It's probably Liberty because they get the money, and, you know, we'll just see what to expect with Chadwell there. But yeah, I like the shot on Delaware.
Delaware's coach, keep an eye on him. That Canty guy, he's pretty sharp.
Okay. Well, definitely. We'll take a look. We'll watch Canty. Related to Chris Canty? I don't know.
No.
You don't remember Chris Canty.
Which one?
Yeah, right. Which one? One you played for Wisconsin. No, Cal. One played for Cal too. Let's move to the MAC. The MAC is interesting conference this year, and I'll just tell you what I'm going with. I'm going Miami, Ohio to win at plus 410. And I think that the MAC is wide open now because of a down year for Toledo and Ohio, you know, with the drama that Ohio had with the old coach there. And I know they kind of somewhat put it together last year, but Toledo's been decimated a bit. And I like that Gatkowski, that quarterback over there. He kind of won the starting job last year, Brad, during the middle of the season. The defense was kind of up and down, but I mean, who do you have to worry about really in the MAC? You know, Northern Illinois leaves, Western Michigan maybe, but Western Michigan lost their linebackers and their whole defensive line. So I just kind of think that Miami, Ohio is where the shot at plus 410, and you just put more on the over 6.5. I'd lay minus 180, but it was enough to cover to win the MAC. So, Chris, anything in the MAC this year? Don't tell me Buffalo either. So.
Well, I am going to tell you Buffalo, but I'm going to tell you Buffalo under 6.5, which I think is juiced pretty good now. You lose Murdoch, one of your better defensive players, if not the best defensive player, a linebacker. You've got road games at Toledo and at Miami of Ohio. Kind of have to rebuild both lines. Yeah, look, we loved Buffalo a couple of years ago, and we had those great tickets on them to win the MAC, but I don't think this is going to be a very good Buffalo team. 7-5 seems like a stretch, especially when you look at the non-conference as well. So I know it's taking some money, but under 6.5 is still worth the play, I think.
Yeah, it's a tough non-conference there. Yeah, I think that I like where you're going there. I like where you're going there. I think they have to play Penn State this year.
Yes.
So that's not easy. Even if at FIU isn't the easiest thing. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough for them. Brad, what about you in the MAC?
I'm part of the Buffalo under money. That's one of my favorite bets of the offseason. Sacramento.
I swear I am not.
Trading notes.
Trust me, I'm not.
Oh, I know. I felt bad. I was late to this, so we weren't even talking before. I just popped on right before we went live. So no notes have been exchanged, folks, for those watching at all. Sacramento State is one of my bigger bets. New to the MAC this year, all the cross-country travel, third coach in 3 years, entirely different roster, not buying them. I just don't see how motivated they can get, playing on Tuesday nights in November.
Why is Sacramento State joining the MAC and Northern Illinois joining the Mountain West?
There's about 20 million reasons set for the MAC to welcome them in. So that's what Sacramento State paid, was like 20-some million to join the MAC. So
well, they must have really wanted in the MAC. Holy cow. Geez. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
I don't mind your Miami, Ohio. I'm part of that over 6.5, even though it's heavily juiced. I'm going to be contrary on Toledo. I've downgraded them significantly, but I thought Jason Candle was such an underachiever. And I like their new coach from Mercer. He's from local. Yep. He's a local guy from Maumee, a suburb of Toledo. His coaching staff he put together, like former, an FCS coach, I think, from Gardner-Webb, the former Tiffin coach, who's another local guy in this area in Northwest Ohio. I love their staff. They did a good job in the portal. I would not be stunned if Toledo won the MAC the year after.
He's a Tressel guy, isn't he, Jacobs?
What's that?
He's a Tressel guy, isn't he, Mike Jacobs?
I think I'm trying to think if that's where he started. I think you're right.
Wikipedia.
I was going to say there's this thing called Google, which can that.
There's a thing called AI now too.
Playing at Ohio State under Tressel.
Yep. Love that guy. So
Okay.
I bet them to go make the playoffs, shockingly. 150 to 1. I think they're the market's moving against me. I think they're live to beat Michigan State in week 1.
Ooh.
I would agree with you there. I think Michigan State under 4.5 might have been, well, it is one of the bigger bets I've made so far this year.
We'll get to the Big Ten, but yeah, that's
Well, he brought up Michigan State, so that's why.
It's all good. Should we make it a trifecta in the Mountain West, Brad?
Uh-oh.
Trifecta. Not trifecta, but like all agreement, New Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, I bet over. Their win total opened at 7.5. I would still lean over 8.5.
I took over 8.5.
Jason, keep an eye on him. Maybe if Wisconsin guy, if Fickle goes down, I think X your new Wisconsin coach next year. Yeah, I bet Air Force, kind of like them. I'm not buying. I'm glad to see North Dakota State finally make the jump. But man, they really gave them the benefit of the doubt when they opened that win total 9.5 because they got to play all the big boys. New Mexico, UNLV, Hawaii, Air Force all on the road. Yeah. My goodness. I mean, I still even lean under 8.5 there. So lots of bets there. I'll say I love Dan Mullen and with Jackson Arnold. I think it'll work magic there. So keep an eye on the Rebels again.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I actually forgot that's where he
Yeah, I think Jackson Arnold's going to light that conference up.
He wasn't that bad last year at Auburn.
It was bad, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
yeah, that was bad situation.
You look great against Baylor.
bad kind of everything. Is UTEP going to win a game?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like them. Don't like Northern Illinois, although keep an eye on that kid they just grabbed from Western Carolina, the Dickens kid, but I think they'll still get beat up. I don't like San Jose State either. That's another team I sold.
Is Texas Southern better than UTEP? That's what you have to ask yourself.
Texas Southern. They're a little bit better than Texas.
Well, they're not beating Oklahoma and Michigan. Or probably not Oregon State. So
at New Mexico, they go to Fargo, they go to Air Force, and they go to.
They couldn't win 4 games in Conference USA. Now they're going to win 4 in Mountain West. No way.
0 returning starters on offense for UTEP. No, that's 0 under 0.5 conference wins. How about that? Jesus, they look pretty bad. No, I love New Mexico, and like I said, I even went
under 3.5 minus 50. Who the hell are they beating?
No, I don't know. Is that what it
is? They do have to go to Northern Illinois, so even the other worst team they got to travel to.
So you assume you beat Texas Southern, they got to win 3 conference games in order to beat you. Yeah,
that's no way, dude. That's a great. I'll take under 3.5 with you. I'm on that as well. Yeah, back to New Mexico. Jason X, awesome. Just serious turnaround last year. Winning 5 of their last 6 games, or was it all their last 6 games? I think I wrote down.
Should have beaten Minnesota in the bowl game.
Yep. Jack Lane back at quarterback, 4 offensive linemen back. Defense returns less, but they got skill. No more Boise, no more San Diego State, no more Fresno State. They get UNLV and Air Force at home, both the toughest at home. New Mexico, man, and why not look at what they are to make the playoffs, Chris? I don't know what that number is, but man, anything over
16-1.
16-1. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I bet it. That's why. That's the only reason I knew that off the top.
Well, that's fun. Well, that's fun, man. I might join you on that one. So we all love New Mexico. You know what happens then.
Yep.
But
a lot of weight to carry.
BMAC talks about Marshall or Louisiana to win the Sun Belt. He's down on James Madison this year, but I'm also down on James Madison. I took under 8.5 recently, plus 100 at DK. Sun Belt Billy, he's the guy that's going to mess it up. They came in like a full force in a freight train, but man, I mean, they lost everybody, and they got 4 quarterbacks that are there trying to fight for the position. I mean, the transfer portal is okay, but man, I'm just not big into Napier at all. And their schedule's not that easy. The non-con isn't bad, but I kind of like Old Dominion to win the Sun Belt plus 460. So I know they lost Colton Joseph to Wisconsin, but I mean, they rolled last year, and Quinn Heinkel, I think that's how you say it. He played well in their bowl game, I thought. The ground game's good. Roche is back at running back. Their defense returns a ton of starters. I like Old Dominion a little bit more than James Madison, but I'm with you, B-Mac. I took under 8.5. Chris?
I bet Troy to win the league. It's not very, very shocking. Not nothing too crazy. I think Goose Crowder is probably the best quarterback in the league. They may have the best defensive player in the league as well, Donnie Smith. They're never a team that's going to go out there and completely lay an egg or be embarrassed. It's a bet that you're not going to feel bad about. You're not going to completely fall flat on your face betting Troy to win this league. And you look at some of the other teams on that side of the draw, you would probably expect Southern Miss to again continue taking a step back. UL Monroe is a non-factor there. Louisiana, who knows as well. I just the name recognition, the name value of Troy. I still think they have more talent than anybody on that side of the conference.
What number did you get?
Oh God, I don't even remember.
I can look it up real quick just to see what it is on our friends.
Let me find it.
Over at FanDuel, or actually, DK's got more of these. Troy is plus 800 right now, so that's not bad.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there then.
Yeah, Old Dominion is plus 460, where I like Louisiana is plus 700. But you can take a shot at both. Like B-Mac was saying, you can take 2 for 1 just to fade James Madison, the plus 270 favorite there. So, Brad, what about you? Anything you like in the Sun Belt or dislike?
Yeah, I think it's important to note it's still got divisions in this. So, Troy, ULL are certainly, that's where I kind of wanted to go towards to maybe, fade the two teams that were high power rated last year, JMU, Old Dominion, who both, in my opinion, take a step back. Although I could see Old Dominion taking advantage of JMU coming down a little bit. I bet Louisiana. I think they host Troy. Returning productions there. They really, I like teams that don't do much in the portal. I mean, that tells me that the coach liked this roster. So I would say my favorite bet, though, instead of the futures market, I like Southern Miss under 3.5. They'll beat Alcorn State, but where's the other win? I don't like their coaching hire, getting Anderson. They lose everybody. It's their third coach in 3 years. I think it's a total mess. I think they're a bottom 5 team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had the unfortunate family situation, terrible family, but yeah, it kind of went a little sideways at his previous stop.
That Utah State, yeah, I don't have the exact particulars there, but wasn't totally buttoned up there.
We talking about FPI's got Southern Miss next to Western Kentucky and Army and UTSA. I mean, it's a great team right here.
That's the one huge mistake FPI made. Got to be a rounding error there somewhere because they're about 40 spots too high.
Added 0 to them after the minus 50. Now, I mean, I only said that because I remember your tweet, and I also laughed. I'm like, I got them way lower, and then I checked the price, and the market's more agreeing with you, Brad, and it's just ridiculous to see some of these crazy, numbers here that's not factoring in. It's like the coach came and left, man. I mean, he came with a few dudes. I thought they even underachieved by what they should have done.
At the end of the year, they did. Yep.
And I thought they should have won a few more games than that. What about the Pac-12? It's funny, Brad. I think, was it June they were on? I think you were on the show in June, and then we're like, nah, they're not going to put up season win totals in the Pac-12. And they did,
but they're all over the board because some are counting 11 games, others are counting 12. Make sure you read the fine print before betting those.
A lot of fine print to be read. Any bets that you like in the Pac-12, the newly revamped Pac-12 light?
I think Boise's the class of the conference, so I bet that, I thought they were a little cheap to win the conference. Anything at like less than minus 150, I think is good. Fresno State, I thought was undervalued at least early in the markets. The market's starting to catch up on that. I wasn't wowed by the hire, the former North Dakota State coach Entz, but did a great job last year, and they returned a bunch of people this year. So I think they're the second best team in that league. So this is probably the league, though. I have the least amount, because the books will do anything to so I just didn't bet a lot because I don't know how they'll grade them if they don't have it specifically marked and they're counting 11 or 12 games. How are they going to grade it? Because we're talking about a flex game. They don't even know who the opponents are going to be week 12. So I like price and uncertainty. That's too much uncertainty for me.
Oh, you know what's going to happen when Boise has to play the toughest team. They're going to be like, Vegas called, guys. Vegas called. They're going to say Vegas made the schedule at the end of the season, right? That's what the whole Twitter is going to say. Now, I like San Diego State a bit. I believe I took the 12-game one. I have to relook, but I wrote down over 6.5 minus 160 over 7.5 plus 144. I just kind of split my unit on that one. I just like Sean Lewis so much. Another Wisconsin boy, played tight end for us actually. Jaden Denegal comes back. All the skill guys come back. Plus 1.15 net yards per play last year, and that defense was good, 4th in the nation in EPA. I know they lost some guys in their coordinator, but it's funny. They're 70th in 247 transfers. Ranking 70th ain't that bad for a group of 6.
That's good. That's top of the G5.
It is, yeah, top of the G6. Now, right? Yeah, we know we gotta get used to that. But I don't think the number's great for them to win the Pac-12, so I didn't bet it. I just bet the over. Chris?
Nothing to add. Boise win the league around minus 150 or so is the only thing that I have in pocket. Right. Just too much ridiculous. It wouldn't surprise me if Jim Mora went out to Fort Collins and they were better than they're expected to be, because he can do more with less. Living here in Connecticut and knowing the recruiting base and the players that he had to work with here, it's a miracle he got them to the records that they did. So it would not surprise me to see him go out to a school with more resources in the football landscape and a league like that and win a couple more games than he should.
No, makes sense. All right. Now to the Power 4, the ACC. Chris knows it quite well. We're going to have to start with Chris on this one, my man. We got a fierce team coming back that made the national championship game last year. Hell, freaking interception from possibly winning the thing. You know what? No one talks about it. That game was so much closer.
The block side of Alex Bowman blocks the defender on a punt that winds up getting blocked and win. So, No.
Did you see that? I forgot to tweet that. It's always hindsight. Did you see that coming from earlier in the game, the way they had that lined up, that formation? Because I kind of was like, they're going to get a punt blocked in this game.
I did. And, well, the two different plays. It was that one with a punt that did get blocked. That got recovered for the touchdown. And then there was the play where Malachi Tony caught the ball on like his 5-yard line, and you had Fitzgerald around the far sideline stuck around, and they were getting ready to throw back. It was there, and it would have been a touchdown. So I was in that side of the stadium up in like the mezzanine level, and I could see it coming. I wound up. I'm like, they had to throw back there, and I wound up texting somebody on the staff in the offseason. They're like, yeah, we did. It was there, the punt, and they were like, the punt was too good. He had no time to get it off. But talent-wise, I think there's a really good chance that they're going to be better than they were last year. The question is just going to be, how do you replace Messidor and Bain, two guys that completely set the edge? Leaders on the team like Keontae Scott and C.J. Daniels and Keelan Marion, C.C. Marinoa, like guys like that on the team who not only were talented and went to the NFL, but were the alphas in that locker room. It's going to take a Moten or a Motore or a Fletcher or someone like that to step up and kind of be that guy that everybody kind of gravitates around. But talent, there's no question. With Mensa, with Malachi Tony, with Barkate, Jacobs, who they brought in from South Carolina, the other kid they brought in from West Virginia, Josh Moore, who has wowed people in the spring, Fletcher and Marty Brown again in the backfield, along with Pringle, who has got a massive twitch. There's a really good chance this is one of the, if not the best offense in the Power 4 this year. The schedule really shakes out to can they go to Clemson and win? And look ahead line has them touchdown favorite there. Look ahead line has them a touchdown dog at Notre Dame. What are they going to do potentially in those games? Are they going to have a slip-up game like they did where Carson Beck threw the 4 picks last year against Louisville, where they had the 7 guys out with injury at SMU and lost those games? They should win the ACC. I bet them minus 135 to win the ACC. I think the price has obviously climbed since. It's just something I want to have in the pocket because they're going to be in the game. They're going to be a big favorite in the game. It's an opportunity to kind of monetize that. And the same thing in the Big 12 with Texas Tech. So I do have that. I have them part of that parlay that I mentioned to make the college football playoff. And I think there are some other teams in the league that there are bets to be made. I like Louisville as a team. I bet Cal over 6.5. I think that quarterback can mask a lot of problems and a lot of deficiencies. I think Tosh did a great job in the portal, the energy, the excitement that they have. And look, they beat SMU and Louisville last year and blew some games that they probably should have won. So if you're looking for a little bit of a thing off the map, a Cal over 6.5 was something that I bet. And I bet North Carolina under 4.5. The team won 4 games last year. I certainly don't think they're any better this year than they were a year ago. You got Notre Dame is one of your non-conference games. You're not winning them. The schedule they play Miami, like the ACC schedule.
TCU and the opener again.
Yeah, they non-conference. They got 2 non-conference games that they're not going to win in TCU and Miami. So it's. I found 4.5 plus 130, so you could probably still get some plus money at under 4.5.
The JKS, man, I can't say his name, but there should be a law that you shouldn't have a name that long. 15 letters or so. That should be the cutoff here. I just counted about 24 letters if I don't count the dash. This is too many. I'm not going to want to have to do this because it took me a while for Uyunglele, right? But no, this kid is a beast over there, and I'm gonna stay away from Cal. I know what you're saying there. The kid is very good, but we'll see if Tosh Lupoy can do something over here. I like NC State because of their schedule. I took them over 6.5 wins. I just think that this is the easiest schedule in college football, Power 4. I gotta find out what I wrote down on them, but this I like the quarterback a little bit over there. CJ Bailey, he wasn't the problem last year. It was the defense, really. They won 4 of the last 5 games. They avoid Miami, they avoid Clemson, they avoid SMU, and they get Louisville at home. So I like them over 6.5. I also like Louisville over 7.5. I took Louisville over 7.5. Avoid Miami, avoid Clemson. They get SMU at home. So it's kind of like the same thing with them. Wouldn't shock me if one of these 2 teams are representing the ACC against Miami. But the reason I'm not going to bet their future is because I think Miami is going to be a massive freaking minus 800 whatever situation, right? It's like, why would you? Nothing plus 800 is good enough, and that's what Louisville's at, plus 800. When you're going to be, Miami's going to be laying almost that, and you got to get through the full season. So that's the reason I'm not betting a future in the ACC, Brad.
Yeah, Miami to win the conference. Let's not overthink it. I know a lot of people I don't want to lay minus 150 or minus 135, 140 and have it tied up all year. I mean, it's going to be more than that when they make the ACC championship game. I know people will push back and say, well, they've never won the conference. Why are we betting them to win the conference? The talent level between them, it's even bigger than Texas Tech and the rest of the Big 12, especially with Sorsby out. So we're talking about Miami possibly being like a 10-point favorite in the conference championship game. And then you're going to be like, well, minus 135 is pretty cheap at that point. I agree with Bear. I think there might be a little undervalued on the defensive front. They've recruited that very well. I like who they gather. I like
interior defensive line is going to be filthy.
Yeah, Moton. I like Justin Scott. I like that Lightfoot kid on the outside. They got Wilson at Missouri. You can tell being a Notre Dame fan, I'm sizing up the opposition. I think getting the Toure back for a 7th year was key. Otherwise, linebackers might have been a little bit of a question mark. The number 13 was the freshman Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Yeah, he really popped when it counted most, that being the 4 games in the playoffs. I like him. I think the offense, I agree with you, could be better. Offensive line, certainly a question mark, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt if there's one position group that Cristobal can coach. And I love Mirabal, the offensive line coach. I mean, it's the O-line. So especially by the time that they're going to need it in November against Notre Dame. They should be fine by then.
It's interesting you said Notre Dame. It just made me think in my head, like for both Miami and Notre Dame, like the schedule flips this year and is beneficial to them. Whereas they had their most important games early in the year last year, where Notre Dame had the Miami game and then the A&M game, and Miami had Notre Dame, and then they had Florida. Like they get time to kind of build and feel out, and that's why that game in November should be awesome.
And winner, take it off. I'm going to find some disagreement finally on the show. I like Cal under.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a sure thing. They beat UCLA in the opener. I like Bob Chesney quite a bit. UCLA. I think the UNLV road game's tricky. I don't think that's a sure thing. UNLV's beaten a ton of Power 5 competition the last 3-4 years. I think at Syracuse in week 2 after playing UCLA is not a sure thing. So not that I'm down on JKS. I like him a lot as a quarterback. Luke Poy's a question mark to me. I think he's a great recruiter. First-time head coach in a bunch of close games. Is he going to make the right decisions? I have question marks on that. Georgia Tech under. No disagreement. Yeah. I think they lost 2 hot shot coordinators. One went to Texas. The other, Buster Faulkner, went to Florida. Haynes King was everything for them. I'll say this about Mendoza's brother. If he was so good, he'd still be in Indiana. Signetti would have kept him. And I trust Signetti over anybody right now when it comes to evaluating players. So I like Georgia Tech under. And I'm not wild about Colorado, but I think Colorado's live to beat them in week 1.
Yeah, that Colorado is another team that took a lot of under money as well. One other ACC bet that I did make, and it's out there, and it's been bet and so forth. I mean, it's at Florida State under 6.5. Like they haven't won a road game in the conference in a while. I don't know if they're going to win one this year. By the time they play BC, this could be a 2-6 or a 3-5 type team. Like if they don't beat SMU in the opener, it's going to get really, really ugly there. They really didn't address the quarterback position well in the portal. That the fans, there's a lot of apathy out there. They wanted Mike Norvell gone, but financially the school has no money to be able to buy him out. So now I think the talk is going to be, can they just have Tom Herman maybe be an interim at the end of the year if things go as bad as I think they can there? It could be a long year. And if you look at some of these game of the year lines, I found a Florida minus 4.5 against Florida State end of the year. That could close 7 or north of 7 at the end of the year, because Summerall is going to emphasize that game, even if we're looking at a 5.
It'll be 17, Bear, because Florida State's very high variance.
I was trying to be kind, but you just went out, took out the hammer, and put it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that 4.5 could be ridiculous closing line value at the end of the year in that game.
All right, no, I mean Florida State, like you said, it's they're so screwed. This schedule's ridiculous for them. I mean, even if they were somewhat good, I remember last year we're like, oh no, they beat Alabama, and then they just turned right back into Florida State, right? They're on the outside looking in, and Chris showed us that bet Florida minus 4.5. Norvell could definitely be gone by that time. I'm going to give you a line real quick. You're gonna have to say which side you're going to take. Miami versus in Notre Dame this year. I'm giving you plus 5.5 on Miami. Chris,
can I take the 7 that's available?
No.
I would lay 5.5, and then I'll go elsewhere and take 7.
Okay, that's great, because I didn't even know 7 was available.
I would take Notre. I would lay the 5.5 with Notre.
7.5 was out there. Somebody got that.
Was that recently? I thought I've been seeing it like 6.5. See, I
saw it and bet it, and it got it taken away.
I make the line 5.5
personally.
Okay. Well, there you have it. See, the reason I said 5.5 is because that's what I'd make the line.
I would lay it with Notre Dame. I took 7.5 in Miami, though.
Yeah,
okay.
I think 6 is a fair number.
Okay.
It's kidding aside, and people think I'm playing reverse psychology. Like you look at the time of the year with the game, weather could be a factor. I bet CJ Carr to win the Heisman Trophy already. Notre Dame's defense is going to be fantastic, one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country. The spot on the schedule.
Cristobal does play the big time opponents well, though.
Yeah, that is true, and You never have to worry about Miami not showing up for a big game. It's at North Carolina the week before where you got to kind of worry a little bit. But I think with everything that happened last year, the way they lost the game, the way the playoff situation went down.
Sometimes, Bear, you've been in it long enough. They build up too much into the game. They put too much into it.
True. It's very true. But yeah,
the weather could be. That's the variance. I mean, Miami and snow would not be good at night in November.
I would lay 5.5 at the Book of Kiev, though.
The Book of Kiev, you'd lay 5. All right, well, that's good. That's good. Well, the number just moved to 6. Fine. I guess Duke after Notre Dame, and then Virginia Tech with Franklin there. Is Duke a sandwich spot there? Yeah, there's not many there.
Miami's
got to avoid the head scratcher this year.
Wake Forest on a Friday night.
There's no Louisville. There's no SMU. You got to win these games.
Well, I can see Duke motivated this game. Duke's going to suck, but they lost Mensa and that Cooper. Was it Barcade? Yeah. So they're going to be motivated to show what they have that game, and it's such a sandwichy spot. Maybe Miami's thinking, "Oh, we should have won the ACC last year." Maybe that takes it away, but that's a tough spot for them after Notre Dame. So that's gonna be fun. Big Ten. Got to move on here. As you know, I took Maryland over 4.5. I texted you guys about a month and a half, 2 months ago when I took that. I think it moved in my direction. And I don't like the coach, but like I said, he's got a lot of lives over there. And Malik Washington, actually, he played well the first 4 games, then lost the next 8 of them. They returned a ton of people. Their schedule turned out good, not having to play Oregon, Michigan, Iowa, and Indiana. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to necessarily make a bowl game, but over 4.5, I like maybe even get to 6. Brad, what about you?
Of the power conferences, this is the least amount I have now. That being said, I still made like 5 or 6 bets on win totals, but currently not wild about a bunch. Michigan still, even though it's heavy juice, under 8.5, they're not they're not beating Ohio State and Oregon on the road. Oklahoma, I think, can beat them. And then Indiana is going to be favored by a touchdown at home against them. And then they still have to play Minnesota on the road. They still have to play Iowa. They still have to play Penn State. It's a ridiculous schedule. I went to their spring game. I'm not buying Bryce Underwood. He didn't look any better. He looked the same as he did in game 1 last year in that game. I know it's just a spring game, but he just looked the same. If Whittingham was so great, and I love Whittingham, he'd still be at Utah. They wouldn't have forced him out the last couple of years.
I'm glad you said forced out because that's what happened.
Yeah, forced him out. So what's with that?
Boring.
I like him, and I think he's a huge upgrade over Sharon Moore. But the schedule is going to do him in this year. It's a ridiculous schedule. I'm under 8.5.
Would you be interested in an under 7.5 at plus money? Plus 144 is what I see at DraftKings. So that's the only legal that I have access to here in Connecticut.
Yeah, I'd still lean that way.
Yeah,
I think there's some variance with Underwood. And okay, they're going to run him more. That's great, but then he could get hurt. And then your backups, I love Tommy Carr, but he's a true freshman.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's this Whittingham thing. I feel like he should have new life over there. So I don't know. I mean, Michigan still recruits well. I don't like Underwood either. I mean, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that they're not going to win 8 games though. I wouldn't take 7.5 under. I would take 8.5, even lay the juice. So that's my thought on Michigan. And I got to tell you, man, the rest of the Big Ten, after like 4 or 5 teams, it sucks. I mean, it's just bad. It sucks to say that, but it's just, SEC's deeper, but the Big Ten's better up top. It's just kind of the way I've looked at it. And that's the way I feel about it. I kind of like Minnesota over 5.5 wins. Now it's a little juiced, but I did take that. I just, they have some continuity with the quarterback there. And they have a pretty, doable schedule over there. I actually took both over 6.5 too. I put a little bit over at plus 150.
Fleck likes his team.
Drake Lindsay, he was pretty good last year, 18 TDs, and no Oregon, no Ohio State, and they do get Michigan and Iowa at home. So that could be a loss for Michigan going to Minnesota too, going back to your 7.5, 8.5, whatever for them. So I didn't touch Michigan. I'm just letting you know, but I kind of like Minnesota's over.
Badger's going to score more than 81 points this year in Big Ten play.
Yeah. Well, they don't play any of the top 3 teams, and Colton Joseph give them a little bit of life.
Well, Notre Dame's on upset alert week 1, right? Aren't they? A little bit upset alert.
I'm in attendance, and Notre Dame usually plays poorly when I'm there. So.
20 and a half. Is that where we're at with that right now?
Yeah.
I still didn't buy my tickets for that. It sucks that I'll be in Vegas the weekend before at Circa. It's just like 2 travel weekends with kids. When you have kids at home, it's a little tough. But I'm going to see if I can sneak it in at the end. Big 12.
I didn't get a chance to give any other Big 10 plays.
Oh, sorry. You are loaded. You're Big 10 Chris now, so
I am. I think I bet more in this league than I did any other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's have it.
I got Michigan State under 4.5. I think we touched on that already.
Yep.
Michigan under 8.5. We touched on that already. USC under 8.5 already. Washington over already. So one that I did, looks like the one that I didn't, and then I have a head-to-head with Oregon minus 4.5 games against Nebraska, because I think Oregon is an 11-1 team, and I think Nebraska 6-6. So I bet Nebraska under 6.5. I think at some point Nebraska is what they are. They've lost, 30 straight games against ranked teams now. Rules lost like 20-something straight games against ranked teams. They've gotten dominated by Iowa in recent years. They get all 3 of the Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State, and they got to go to Iowa, and they got a couple other tough games as well. Like, I don't see it with Nebraska at all, and I like Matt, and I'd love to see him ultimately break through. He got a ridiculous deal from Nebraska because he played the card right. Penn State dangling out there, so they paid him to stay. But I think Nebraska's at 6-6 stamped right on their forehead.
I love all the plays but that one. I mean, and here's the problem with Nebraska. I actually think that Rule did get a good defensive coordinator now in Rob Ulrich from San Diego State, and they're 3rd in returning production. I mean, that quarterback, though, Calandri, he comes from UNLV. I wasn't that high on Dylan Raiola last year. I didn't think he was all that good. He used to move around high schools. He won down here in Chandler. He won in Georgia, right? But his college career doesn't look that great. But I just kind of feel like, Nebraska's schedule, I could see a ceiling of, and I have
better start 5-0 because then it gets tough.
Well, Ohio, Bowling Green, North Dakota.
You mentioned Calandri, though. He was great at UNLV in the Mountain West last year. He was terrible with Virginia.
Well, here's 6 wins. All right, Ohio, Bowling Green, North Dakota, at Michigan State. That's 4 in a row. Maryland, I'll even say Maryland's questionable, but they get that.
Maryland is questionable.
Washington's at home and at Rutgers. So, now they lose against Indiana, at Oregon? Yes. They lose against Ohio State, maybe at Iowa, but Jesus Christ.
Yes, they do lose at Iowa.
Yeah, they do. But what worries me is sneaking to 7, and that means. But here's the thing: could Oregon wins 12, you'll be fine, right? That's the only one I just questioned. But I love the other bets you made, and especially those other ones that I want you to get into at the end when you took Georgia head to head with Ohio State. I do want to talk about some of those, Chris. So. Those were ones that I absolutely love and bet myself. Big 12. There's a couple that I bet early. A Baylor under 6.5 minus 135. It's probably I have to look at what it is now, but Dave Aranda's done. He's not a head coach. He's a coordinator. Why does his defense suck too when he's a defensive guy? It makes no sense. And now he's going to rely on DJ Lagway, coming from Florida. You know how that kind of situation works out. They have a tough schedule at Baylor too. And I just don't see them even making a bowl game. So I took under 6.5 wins. Brad.
Love that bet. Even it could be minus 180 juice. And I like that. There's some combustibility there, especially if you think they'll lose week 1, they're a touchdown underdog against Auburn. A sneaky one. And I love Kenny Dillingham. I don't like their schedule, though. They play at Texas Tech, at Texas A&M. They play that London game that I think can throw them off. They don't have anybody coming back. They did an okay job in the portal. They had to. They only have 3 returning starters. I think Arizona's better than them. They'll be a dog in that game. Arizona State under 6.5, I bet. But Baylor and Iowa State were my 2 favorite bets that I made. And Iowa State, even if it's moved a win from 5.5 down to 4.5, I still lean under 4.5. I only got them favored in 2 games.
Yeah, I felt bad because I love Iowa State, and I have in the past. They've kind of been my adopted team, but they don't have any players. Like anybody worth a shit went with Matt to Penn State. So yeah, I'm with you there. I did take. I bet Texas Tech to win the league just to have that in pocket again because they're going to be a double-digit favorite in the Big 12 championship game or close to it because they're still going to be there even without Sorsby. But I did play a little Kansas State 22-1. I think I got them at to win the league just because the schedule flipped for them. They get kind of the bottom feeders, no BYU, no Utah. So like there is a possibility that they could be in that game. If it's Texas Tech, Kansas State, I'm in a really good situation. I think Colin Klein will go in there and he'll have a positive impression on Avery Johnson and maybe get him to kind of calm down and minimize the mistakes a little bit. So if you're looking at play a flyer on someone to maybe beat Texas Tech or get to that conference title game, I think K-State might be the team you're looking for.
You know, Avery Johnson worries me. I feel like he's a little bit of a head case himself, but maybe you're right. Maybe the new coach that came in that I think recruited him when he was offensive coordinator back then, you know, will possibly fix him there. And, you know, I mean, I guess if I was going to be contrarian about that, I would say that, you know, what did he do with Marcel Reed at Texas A&M? But Marcel Reed's probably his own enemy, right? Kansas State definitely has a very easy schedule, and so I can see what you're saying right there. I took a little bit of a flyer with Arizona. I have a bigger bet or a funner bet later about Arizona or one of the team members on Arizona, but you know, I mean, I didn't even like Brett Brennan that much, but I just kind of feel like Fafita's just that good of a that good of a quarterback, and I think that Arizona.
How old is he? 29,
like 35, I think. Now he's pretty old. Yeah, I mean, but he kind of helped Ted McMillan, and I don't know. He got a little better last year, but that's just a flyer at 22-1. I took for a small amount.
Hey, you mentioned some of those other like head-to-heads that I had played, and one does involve Texas Tech. I laid a game and a win and a half. Minus 140, Texas Tech minus 1.5 wins versus Texas. Because we talked about Texas Tech's baseline is 11-1. There's no BYU, there's no Utah. They get Houston and Arizona and TCU at home. Like 12-0 is not impossible for this team. Whereas, and this is what Sark was talking about. You juxtapose the Texas.
Sark's already got his own team 9-3.
Exactly, and under 9.5 is like minus 145 or something like that. Like. You got LSU, you got Ohio State, you're at A&M, the Oklahoma game, like 9-3 is very possible for Texas. So 11-1, they got to go 10-2 against that schedule to beat me. With knowing that Tech could still go 12-0, yeah, I'd like that head to head with laying a win and a half against Texas for Texas Tech.
I love that bet. That's a great bet. I'm on it too. You know, Texas is, like I said, I think that they get to 9 wins again. This Ohio State scheduling stuff is stupid. And if they scheduled the cupcake last year, they probably would have been in the playoffs too, right? It's just a situation where you're kind of giving yourself a very high variance, you know, early in the season about if you're going to make the playoffs or not. And then you obviously have that SEC schedule. And I know everyone's like, well, Archie Manning since October was great. Well, since October, he played a bunch of bad teams, and they should have lost against Kentucky and a couple other teams last year. So I'm with you on that one. I'm not a Texas guy this year. You know, my problem with Tech is I have them power rated higher, a lot higher, kind of like the Miami situation, that I don't want to mess too much with it. You know, it's kind of like Texas Tech doesn't even need much of a quarterback to get to the championship game or even win it. I guess
they didn't have one last year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Wegman, or who was it last year? Wegman's Houston. I forgot his name. Anyways, no, I agree. Texas Tech is a clear favorite for me. And they got the oil money to, you know, reload. So, Brad, anything we're missing in the Big 12?
No, you know, I love Willie Fritz. I just didn't like Houston's schedule this year because they go at Tech, at Kansas State, at Utah. If they had a little bit more favorable schedule, I did bet a long shot on them, but I would be really pro Houston as being that next team. But nah.
Yeah, their away schedule in the big games throws it off for me too. Well, let's go to the SEC then. You know, I mean, this is now a 9 conference game schedule, and there's just like it is, I mean, I guess you can say Vandy's going to take a step back and maybe a few others, but they're still combined power rated, probably the best conference, with all the teams, if you average that. But, at the top is a little bit shuffled. I think Georgia's the clear favorite. I think Georgia wins at least 10 games. I have a few bets in there, but Chris, why don't you go first?
I did bet Georgia over 9.5. Laid a big price there, laid -180. But you can lose at Bama, you can lose at Ole Miss, and you can still win that bet. And I don't think they're going to lose both at Bama and at Ole Miss. I think there's a really good chance that they're going to win both of those games. So Georgia, I think, is the surest thing in this league. So I did bet the over 9.5, -180. I bet LSU to miss the playoff. I bet the Florida -4.5 in the look-ahead line against Florida State. And I bet Georgia -0.5 a game versus Ohio State. I know this one's a little risky, but it was +130. And I do think Georgia is 11-1. Excuse me. My favorite person in the world, Spam Risk, has reached out. And
I get about 10 of those a day, my friend.
Yeah. But I laid a half a game +130, Georgia versus Ohio State. I think there is a chance Ohio State could go 10-2. I think Oregon could potentially go there and win. I think maybe they could lose at Texas. So the Michigan, they should win. Yeah, USC, they should win. But maybe Georgia goes undefeated. Who knows? A possibility. So I did play this. This is of the three that I played. I think this is the one that I like the least because despite the Ohio State losses, they're still really good. They still have an excellent chance to not only win the Big Ten, but win the national championship. Obviously, I would like to see a little bit more from their line, the offensive line, against some of their bigger name opponents because they got absolutely manhandled up front by Miami and Indiana last year. Their special teams took a little bit of a hit, certainly in the kicking game as well. Who's catching passes after Jeremiah Smith? Obviously, they got Chris Henry, who is wowing people, and he'll probably be fine. But you lost a lot of other guys. Julian Sainz not really a runner. So there are some things you can nitpick with Ohio State in that bet against Georgia. I bet Arkansas under 4.5. I don't know if they win a league game again. And I think did we talk about Oklahoma earlier before? Because
I mentioned Oklahoma earlier.
I'm not sure. Like you look at they're being slotted in as potentially a playoff team, and you look at how they won some of their games. They had no business beating Bama. Ridiculous late touchdown against LSU. The Tennessee game, running the guy kind of off the field, but kind of cheating in the win against Auburn. Like The running game was terrible. The offensive line was. And now look, all of that can be addressed in the offseason, and they can be better. But against that schedule, you're like the win totals are telling you that this is going to be an 8-win team. And I think if they get to 9, this is absolutely going to be one of those strength of record teams that if they do get to 9, they absolutely should be in the playoff. But I just don't know if they get to 9.
Oklahoma, you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I guess the good thing is that John Mateer is supposed to be healthy. I mean, how injured was his thumb last year? They a
lot, but from what he's saying now, and of course we all figured out at the time, a lot more than what they let on last year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He, what's funny about your bet though? If Ohio State wins against Texas, you gain on the other side, and if Texas wins, you gain on that side, right?
Correct.
Because they're both involved in that bet. I think you'd rather have Texas win against Ohio State to get that Georgia one through, because Texas can still drop it a little bit later. So I love that way you set that up. Brad, what about you, man? SEC. I'm sure you have quite a few in this conference.
I do. I know it's juicy, but I think Georgia's the safest bet. I just do not see them losing 3 games, which they haven't since Kirby's first year as far as regular season. And this is his most experienced team coming back in his 11 years there. So give me Georgia over 9.5, even at like -180, still playable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Florida, I love John Sumrall. Think long term he's going to work out great. Love the coordinator hires. It's asking a lot to go from 4-8 to 8-4. Especially we're talking Florida program that's below 500 the last 5 years. So I played a little under 7.5 there. That's still playable. Stuff that's still available. Ole Miss and Oklahoma over 7.5 for me. I think they're both 8-4. I think it's a disaster if either one goes 7-5. I think Oklahoma's better this year than they were. I agree with Bear that they weren't that good last year. They were not a 10-2 team. But the reality is, I think they're better this year and can be 8-4. And so I did bet that. And Ole Miss, I mean, come on, with that quarterback running back duo, if you can't go 8-4 with that, then Pete Golden's not going to be the guy.
Oh yeah, he's got a short leash on there. No, I bet Florida under 7.5 a few weeks ago. John Stonewall is great, but I mean, you just got to get to 6 or 7 wins here, and the schedule is once again very hard in Florida. There, I took Bama under 8.5 wins at like plus 100. I don't know.
That would not be good for DeBoer.
No, it won't. But he's got an extension now, and that's the way they do it. They want the recruits to come, so they're going to extend them and just eat it later.
Are they coming? Have you seen their recruiting class?
No,
it's all portal.
It's not. They're not coming. Austin Mack starting? The guy that
beat Russell, I think.
Okay, I mean, Ryan Williams, I guess, is the only bright spot coming back. But it's funny.
They'll tell you they love their receivers.
Yeah,
they think their receiving core is great.
Their schedule's tricky. I mean, they always beat Georgia until they don't. At Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M. There's a few other ones in there that's very. I mean, you see them lose against Florida State last year in the beginning. It's like that should never happen. And it's like I'm blaming the coach there. I like Kalen DeBoer. I just don't think he's a fit in the SEC. I don't know. I just think that there's just nobody there. It's funny. Georgia's is like top 10 returning production team. All these teams are returning production now because they get paid, and Alabama's sitting there in the 90s. I don't like Alabama this year. I think they missed the playoffs, and I think that they're right to be juiced to miss the playoffs. The market thinks they're going to miss the playoffs this year too. So I don't like Alabama. I'm with you on Oklahoma over, but 8 wins is probably their ceiling. But I took over 7.5 also, Brad, just because what I said before. Maybe they do get in the playoffs if they get up to 9, and the harder games on their schedule they get at home. So I kind of like that, but I like what all you guys are doing over there. I agree with that.
I have not made a bet on this, but I'm curious if you have. How far do you think Vandy falls without Pavia? Because their defense was terrible last year, and he masked it. Now you got a true freshman starting a quarterback. You got to go to Auburn. You got to go to Georgia. You got to go to Florida. You Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee. Over 5.5 is minus 130. Do you think they get to 6? I have not made a bet on this. I would be inclined to bet under if I did.
One of my first bets this offseason was under 6.5. I do still like the staff. The Beck is an offense coordinator, is really sharp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wild about NC State, so I think there's a good possibility they're going to start 3-0 because they get NC State at home, and they still play Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, the 3 weakest teams in the SEC. And I still think that even though 2 of them are on the road, I think they're better than all 3 of those teams. So I think 6-6 still is the most likely record, but I'm definitely giving them the benefit of the doubt. I know others, that they love under there. So I think Curtis will be all right at quarterback.
It sucks that they're at Auburn and at Kentucky, right? Because you would rather they are terrible, but it's still at Kentucky. It's like you'd rather have those 2 wins at home, right, and just guarantee the wins. And instead, you get Ole Miss at home, right? You get Alabama at home. You get Tennessee at home. It's like you're probably going to lose those.
I'd rather have that though than say you look at a team like Florida who's got all their swing games on the road. I'd rather have my swing games at home or the bigger names at home than have to go on the road and play. I'd much rather play the shitty teams play the Kentuckys and the Miss States and the Arkansas on the road. Give myself a chance to win those.
It's an interesting discussion about that because I always thought that if you could be disastrous if you're just losing those easier games by 1 point and then you have the harder games at home and you're still losing those by 3 points. It's just it can go both ways in a way. That's an interesting discussion. I've always thought about that. I think about that really every year. But no, that's I'm curious about Auburn. They're kind of like South Florida heavy right now. So we'll see if they can do some damage.
We'll find out right away with them. Yep. They play Baylor, Florida, Vanderbilt, everybody early in the month of September.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. And, That's why I just think this year is just ever more than before so up in the air. It's so funny that all of us are in Georgia like we were all in Penn State last year. It's like, but at least with Georgia, you have a winning coach in Kirby Smart, right? So you always say what could go wrong.
Winning coach in big games.
Yeah. I was going to say a guy who's won a couple of national titles and has an unbelievable record against top 10 teams as opposed to 2-24 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, Independence. I mean, I think I took UConn under a long time ago, Brad. I think you did too. I've seen a lot of messages from that. I mean, Notre Dame, I think all their numbers are right. I think Notre Dame should be the favorite to make the playoffs.
You laid $8 on that, right?
No.
Well, they lose 2 games, they're going to be out, I think.
That's going to be the question. If they lose at BYU and they lose to Miami, will they fall outside the top 12?
They're promised they wouldn't.
They should.
Probably should, but I mean, this is going to be like Penn State versus Notre Dame, 10-2. Who goes in? The money.
That's true. I have bet Notre Dame under 11.5 though.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you probably laid a little juice on that one, right?
I did, but it takes a hell of a lot to go unbeaten.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And UConn's going to be.
And I know the schedule's easy, but they do play BYU on their own. They do play Miami. I mean, that's not like 2 layups.
BYU, they're -10 at BYU. I think I saw, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And we got to keep rolling here because it's already 1:34. So we got Heisman to talk about. So I took Dante Moore at 13-1. Okay. And the reason I like him more than Carr is because I feel like Oregon's going to put up points no matter what. And I think Notre Dame's defense could just make Carr not play. Aren't you worried about that a little bit, CJ Carr? I mean, this is kind of like that whole reason why I haven't taken like Ohio State quarterbacks.
I wouldn't take Sayin.
I wouldn't take Sayin either. But I'm just wondering if that Notre Dame defense, who I think might be best in the nation, just kind of makes his quarterback not play much in the second half. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, keep him healthy and you want to get the backups of experience. I could see that. Although their leave no doubt mantra and relying more on the pass game than the run game this year, I think he deserves to be the Heisman favorite. And that's not being a homer. If he played for somebody else, I would say he'd be the Heisman favorite.
If he was 13-1 too,
First bet I made. Let me see what number I got on him. Because that was the first bet.
He's 7-1 right now. That's the best probably.
I got 8-1 because it was at some shitty offshore that is the only place I had access to in Connecticut. But yeah, I bet him to win the Heisman and undefeated again. I think, and I did bet Darian Mensah to win the Heisman as well. My thinking is, again, we talked about this earlier. I think the winner of that game is going to be undefeated. And if you have a quarterback of an undefeated Notre Dame, that player is absolutely winning the Heisman Trophy. If you've got Darian Mensah, quarterback of undefeated Miami, who played in the national championship game last year, he won the ACC last year. Now he's going to put ridiculous Cam Ward type numbers potentially. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy. So those are the 2 guys that I did play to win the Heisman. I don't think this is a year where we're going to get someone from completely off the grid because all of these logical contenders have an elite type quarterback. So I don't think we're going to get a Mendoza type at 100-1. I don't think we're getting a Travis Hunter like we got a couple of years ago at 80-1 or whatever the hell he was. I don't think what's going to happen. The only other guy that I potentially thought about playing was just because of the sheer ridiculousness of the numbers that he could potentially put up was Trinidad Chambliss.
Oh, Trinidad. Yeah, sure. I mean, he might be that whole team besides the running back, but dump it down to him, I mean, now they all scare me, and that's why the Heisman market is what it is. It's like you make an argument left and right. I think Notre Dame's gonna have the best record this year, most likely. Brad, what about you? I have a long shot too after you go. But
I haven't done what I would say anything real serious in the Heisman market this year because I have really not valued the media narratives in November the last 2 years like I should have. I think the Heisman I thought used to be a better market where I could bet some long shots. Hell, I could get a Kyler Murray at 25-1, a Baker Mayfield or somebody like that. I mean, I could get it like 20-1 in the preseason. I'm not getting those prices anymore. And I just pay attention to the media narratives in November. I mean, you could tell Travis Hunter They're showing Travis Hunter highlights and losses of games. I mean, and the swing and you're not going to get this every year, but the swing and the Heisman odds for last year's Big Ten championship game were unbelievable. Like, I mean, the third down pass at the end that seals the game basically won the Heisman. I don't feel like having a ton of money tied up. And, in this particular market, I haven't had good luck the last couple of years. Maybe it's sour grapes for me, but I don't have anything big. Now, with that being said, I made some bets. Arch, I bet Arch was my first one, believe it or not. Square as can be, but
Sure.
plus 950. If he beats the Buckeyes, he'll be 3-1 after week 2.
Yeah, I mean, Arch, that's really what it is. And you know what? You better be quick because, like I said, if they beat the Ohio State, that number's gone. That thing's gone away. And if there's some stupid sleeping book that just kind of reflashes the number to reflash it, you want to jump on that. That's for sure. I think what you should do, and if you want a long shot, and he has to go to BYU and win, is Fafita at 110-1. But here's the thing. You take your $100 and you put 50 and 50. It's the same number that you can split 10 times. You're getting paid the same amount. And then you can cash out later with one of them if you want, because you got Northern Arizona the first game. You got to win at BYU. You got to have some magic. Then you got Northern Illinois, Washington State, Cincinnati, West Virginia, and Iowa State. So you're looking right before Halloween, you have to go to Texas Tech. You can cash out of your bet, hopefully better than 2-1, because he has some ridiculous, stupid numbers before he plays Texas Tech, TCU, Utah, Kansas State, and Arizona State. So that's the way I would play that if you want to do a long shot.
I do want to say, I think Bear made a great point. There's so many great quarterbacks coming back. It's all of them are not going to miss this year. So it's one of those 5 or 6 guys, I think, whether it's a Dante Moore, an Arch Manning, a CJ Carr, Julian Sang. I mean, you just go right down the list. Odds are that one of those guys is just going to have a fantastic year and win the games they need to in November. Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for that to happen and see where the narrative shifts. It's not like I can get a Dante Moore 25-1 right now.
Right. Wait for one to lose right away and get on.
That's a good point.
You get saying if they lose, get Arch.
I don't know if I like saying though. If I
yeah,
I'd rather have Jeremiah Smith out of it. If I was going to bet a Buckeye, it'd be Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. And that'll happen.
Longer price too.
They like flash for sure. Even Darian Mensah, like you said though, Chris, that'd be a fun story if they go undefeated, which they easily can go undefeated if they just get that one win at Notre Dame. But that's the hard one. It's not like you're not even close to a dog in any game. It's just one game. It's one game that you're a dog, but everything else is a massive favorite. So yeah, that's a situation where you can take Mensah for $50 and $50 and then cash out before the Notre Dame game too. So kind of that thought process is kind of what I like thinking about. Real quick, anything for week 0 or week 1, Chris?
I have week 0. I bet TCU money line. I got some people who were close to North Carolina and who were on the Belichick hire like weeks before it came out that was the direction that they were going or wanted to go. And the same person told me just to, whatever you are betting, include TCU money line in that. So I have that week 0. Week 1, I have nothing yet. I need to start taking a look. But yeah, they were really creative. TCU minus like 235 on the money line. Yeah, yeah, we're a real deep dive for me.
Works, man. You can parlay it too, Brad.
I got a lot. Let me see at current.
At current,
I don't mind. Speaking of TCU, I don't mind 6.5. I think there's combustibility with North Carolina right now. I mean, it could be a total. I mean, we saw it in week 1 last year. Mm-hmm. So 6.5, I don't mind. I think it's more likely it closes 7 around the key number. I played a little Stanford, but if you can still find a 3.5, 4 out there, they're at home against Hawaii. I thought they should have beaten Hawaii last year on the road. They don't turn it over there. I don't mind those in week 0. Week 1, I'm not high on Colorado, but man, there's a couple 7.5s out there. I bet that number. I like that quite a bit. I faded, and boy, never mind. The market moved a bit. I took. This is like so contrarian because everyone's so pro Kiffin, at least national media, Joe Q Public, and they're so anti Dabo. I took anything above 10 with Clemson. I took.
That's a lot.
No.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's huge. It's a lot of points there.
So best bet Wisconsin.
Team total under.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the team total under on Wisconsin. I'm going to take the Wisconsin team total under. Huge fan right here, right? But I don't think they score that much at Lambeau against Notre Dame. So that could be I think Notre Dame puts up whatever they want, but I don't think that Wisconsin gets past.
You're hoping to get what, a 14.5?
I would love a 14.5. If I can get 14.5, I'm freaking all day.
I don't know if they're going to get that. I think 13. They'll give you 13.5, I think.
Probably. But you know what? I don't think they get to past 9 points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, Colin Joseph is fine at Old Dominion, but
he can break a long run. He did against Indiana last year, first play of the season.
Okay, come on, man. Let's be serious here. I'm going to give you a total. Oklahoma State versus Tulsa over 16.5. Oklahoma State is pretty much North Texas. They play extremely fast over there now, and Tulsa played extremely fast last year. And this is going to keep going up. I bet 64 by close. I think this thing's going to skyrocket as it keeps going. So both these teams are going to pace it up. Neither defense, I don't think, is any good, especially against each other. Yeah, I'm going to take that over. And it's weird to take overs. I hate taking overs in the beginning, but that's the only one I like is that one. And I'll give you another one. I took Louisville plus 6.5 against Ole Miss.
I like that play.
I mean, it's freaking Jeff Brom as a dog for one, right? It's minus 104 right now at FanDuel, and maybe you can shop a 7 and pay for it. I don't think you need to. I think that they could win outright. Ole Miss coming from that playoffs, they got LSU on the brain. I like Trinidad Chambliss, but I like Chambliss more when he's down, not when he's ahead. I like Keenholz, that guy that came from Ohio State. I think he's a really good quarterback, and what a perfect fit, just kind of shifting over to Louisville. 6.5 is too much, especially the first week. So yeah, I'm on that one, guys.
Coaching mismatch.
Yeah, for sure. Coaching mismatch.
No Charlie Weiss called plays anymore. Yep.
And it's the first game. You got to kind of look for those situations here. But guys, awesome stuff. Fantastic. Loved every single play you put out there. It was a great conversation. Brad, could you let our listeners know where to get your wonderful information?
Yes, follow me on X, Brad Powers 7, and just check me out there. If you like my opinions or don't, that'll pretty much say whether or not you want to head over to the website.
You'll at least get some nice sunrises.
There you go.
Beautiful sunrises. Chris, could you let our listeners know where to get your column?
You know where I am. Bear Bets Pod. Plan, I believe, is still 3 times a week during football again. Monday, Thursday, Friday. Bruce and the Bear on Friday. The Big Pod on Thursday, and Monday kind of a preview type deal. Columns will be up at foxsports.com. Usually Thursday evenings are when they get posted. Yes, Twitter, Instagram at Chris Felica. You know where to find me.
You know where to find them. Make sure you guys follow Chris and Brad. Thanks a lot, guys.